This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by Robert Williamson III. This week, it's our conclusion from the Ameristar Casino Hotel, East Chicago. We started with 366 entries. Now we're down to our final 5, and on tonight's episode, we will crown a new champion. That person's going to go home with a whole lot of cash.
And I'll tell you what, a tough 5 players we have left, including 8-time HPT final tableist Sean Roberts. Don't count out the young gun at the bottom right now, Nick Papillo. And I'll tell you what, got to talk about the captain. Captain Robert is selling his way right through the field so far.
First place, $120,537. So let's go meet the players and most importantly, take a look at what we're playing for.
Exciting times, James. Over $500,000 has been given away this tournament. And tonight, we're going to crown a new HPT champion, and he's going to get $120,537 to go home with.
We started with 366 entrants. We're down to our final 5, and leading the group is Robert. On last week's episode, this guy really caught fire.
Speaking of caught fire, you're talking about the Mockingjay? Or wait, you're talking about Robert Castori.
Blinds are 20,000, 40,000 with a 5K ante. The action is on Sean Roberts, his 8th HPT final table. He's got 3 titles, trying to make it his 4th tonight right here on national television. He's going to go ahead and make the call with his Queen 10 of spades.
I like to mix it up and limp in from under the gun. Today's players, they treat the under the gun as if it's at the button. But Sean Roberts, old school player as well as a new school player combined, he decides just to limp.
Tim's going to make the call with his ace-5. We saw a lot of gamble in Tim last week. He came in as the chip leader. He went down, he went up. It was somewhat of a roller coaster ride for him. Nick's going to check his option in the big blind. Tim makes the call. So 3 players to the flop. And it comes out 2 5s and a 4.
Wow. This is a great flop for Tim. Flops 3 5s. What else got a piece of it? But somebody might try to steal this.
Yeah, just because you don't get a piece of it, Sean Roberts, you can still put chips in the metal. He bets $140,000. Tim absolutely loves this position.
Yeah, and from your lips to Sean's ears, he went for it. And Tim is going to love seeing that bet.
Tim is from St. John, Indiana. 24 years old. He's a salesman. $200 invested in this thing. $200, and he just makes the call here. I like that.
Did you see him reach back like he was thinking about mucking, maybe not calling, and then finally makes the call? I like this.
Nick gets out of the way, so we're heads up to the turn. It's the 9 of spades. I think we might see Sean slow down here. We talked about his reading abilities on last week's show. This guy, he can look right through you.
I think he sees dead people. Wait, that was a movie line. Sorry.
He's pretty darn good. And you have to be good. 8 final tables, 3 career titles on the HPT. Not too shabby. River card is the jack of clubs, so no help for Sean. He's going to check. I expect him to make some kind of a bet here.
Pretty impressive that Sean didn't lead here after Tim checks the turn. That's a seasoned veteran not leading there.
And now Tim is going to make a bet of $225,000, and it looks like Sean's going to make the call here with his queen.
Well, this looks like a hero call, and it is, but I can see Sean's line of thinking here. Easily, Tim could be on some kind of a missed draw of a 6-7 or a 3-6, something in that range. I don't blame Sean. I might have called there myself.
When we come back, things get even more intense as these final 5 make their last push for HPT glory. Welcome back to the Ameristar Casino Hotel here in East Chicago for the HPT main event final table. Let's get right back to the action. We are now 5-handed.
Chip counts look like this: Robert, Tim, Ronald, Nick, and rounding out the group, Sean Roberts. The stack swing, very interesting there. Timothy going up, Robert going down.
And Ronald doing his consistent move to the upward rung.
Blinds are 20,000, 40,000 with a 5K ante. Action will start with Sean Roberts. Looks down at Queen Jack. And he's going to go all in with his Queen Jack of diamonds.
You know, normally when you have 10, 12, even maybe 15 big blinds left, that's the right move to go ahead and put the maximum pressure instead of a small raise. Sean's got closer to 20. Kind of surprised this long-term HPT champion pro at the table here made this play.
Action now over to Ronald, who's all in now. Nick quickly folds his hand.
Oh, good news, bad news for Sean. Sean wanted some action because he wants to gather chips up, and he's got 2 live cards, so it could be a lot worse spot for him. But Ron is definitely a big favorite here.
Got him dominated. Ace-King going up against Queen Jack. And we go to the flop, and just like that, Ace 10-9, a couple of clubs. So good news, bad news for Sean.
Absolutely top pair for Ron. Opening straight draw for Sean. Sean either needs running queens and jacks, or an 8, or a king.
If not, he'll be eliminated in 5th place. We go to the turn card now. It's the 4 of spades, so only 1 street left for Sean Reggie Roberts.
And now there's no runner backouts, and only an 8 or a king can save Sean Roberts' day and keep him alive.
And the river card is the 10 of spades, so that's going to do it. Ronald wins the hand, but once again, a big round of applause to Sean Roberts, his 8th HPT final table. 3 titles. Tonight's not going to be the time he gets his 4th, but he played well, and he's going to go home with just under $26,000.
I know he wanted it, but you know what? Sometimes you try out new things. All the new players now under the gun, they love to do these shove motions because, after all, under the gun's like the new button.
Blinds are 20,000, 40,000, 5K ante. Under the gun here, Nick Papillo, 23 years old. He got 8th place at an event last year, the Soaring Eagle in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Raise.
He's going to raise it up to 100,000 with pocket 8s. Haven't seen a lot from Nick last week. Just didn't get a whole lot going at this final table, but he didn't get himself into trouble. That's the important thing.
Sometimes staying alive. Oh,
yeah, something like that. Now we've got a 3-bet by Timmy. He's going to go up to 250,000 with his Ace 8. Action over to Ronald. I think I'm going to start wearing a suit and a jacket at the poker table.
You know what? Maybe they'll have a little more respect for your game, or they'll think you're the poker godfather.
I am half Italian. You heard the man. He's all in. It's a 4-bet shove.
And this puts Tim in a precarious position. Now he's wishing he hadn't made that first raise.
Interesting story about Nick. Yesterday on day 2, he ran his pocket jacks into aces, went runner. He ended up making a straight. So Tim is going to make the call, ladies and gentlemen. We flip over the cards, and right now, Nick is in the lead. In pretty good position here to double up.
And in Tim's defense, he's getting 2-1 on the money. Many times an ace alone is worth calling, getting 2-1 on the money.
So Nick at risk in the hand, and the flop comes down Jack 9-6, couple of clubs. So far so good for Nick P.
And the ace is the quick fix for Tim's hand. That's what he needs, or he's going to double Nick up.
Now the turn card is the King of Diamonds. So 1 street to go, and now an ace and an ace only for Tim. Otherwise, the full double up for Nick.
Let's see the river, please.
Crowd standing up behind, looking up at the TV monitors, and the river card is the 6 of hearts, and Nick's going to win the hand.
You know, James, I find myself holding my breath in Nick's spot right there against a 3-outer. But sometimes when somebody's got 15 outs, I don't need to hold my breath.
Great story yesterday. Nick, on day 2, late in the day, ran his pocket jacks all in into aces. Well, the turn in the river showed up, and he made a straight. He wins the hand, and now he's here at this final table.
Got to be a little lucky to win these things.
All right, blinds 20,000, 40,000, 5K ante. We're giving away a whole lot of cash tonight here on the HPT. Minimum right now, $34,325. Up top, though, $120,537. Action. Now over to Robert. Robert is a captain of the USNS Victorious. That's a U.S. Navy vessel. So that's pretty cool. And he was also coached from Chip Reese.
Oh, wow. The legend, the myth, the immortal poker player, Chip Reese. And great guy. Rest in peace. What an awesome guy, Chip Reese.
So we want to thank Robert for his many years of service, and we wish him the best of luck. As we wrap up this nationally televised final table at the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago.
Well, Nick's not saluting Robert right now. He's decided to make the call.
We've got an old school poker player and one of these young guns, a 59-year-old and a 23-year-old. I really wish I knew what I know now at Nick's age. Let me tell you, I do a lot of things differently. The flop is queen, jack, trey, couple of clubs.
And Nick flops a gut shot straight draw, but will it be enough for him to call the sure bet we're going to see from Robert, who flopped top pair? I don't know.
A little something for everybody on that flop as Robert hits his queen. Like you said, Nick's got the gutter ball Broadway. It goes check, bet 225, and now action back to Nick Papillo.
Well, this will be an interesting decision. I'd like to get away from these hands because even if you hit your straight, the king of clubs could be the card, and then you might be up against the flush.
Well, we got a re-raise now. We're going up to 505,000.
Re-raised it to 500.
And Nick, ever the aggressor, I don't think he's going to like to hear those words. Robert shoved all in on him.
It's an all-in by Robert. Big decision here for Nick, and he's going to go ahead and fold his hand. So Captain is going to sail away with this pot. And speaking of sailing away, my friend, we took a trip with Card Player Cruises and had an absolute blast.
I'm actually going this year.
Now, every year we team up with Card Player Cruises for a week-long trip at sea. If you're looking for a fun vacation, this is the perfect getaway. Every day is an adventure. Our fourth-place finisher won her seat into the Card Player Cruise main event through a super satellite. Here are a few words from Diane.
My name is Diane McCarthy. I'm from New York City. I've done the Card Player Cruises a couple different times, and I enjoy that because it does a lot of combination travel and poker. It's a great combination, and I can get enough and then get, top prize would be great, and what I would like to do then is enter the World Series main event with that.
You too could join us for an exciting poker cruise aboard a luxury ocean liner. Card Player Cruises offers the most poker action, most limits, and the best tournaments at sea. And the poker is just the beginning. It's truly unbelievable how much there is to do on these ships. For all the details, including a list of upcoming cruises and prices, visit www.cardplayercruises.com. More poker action after these messages.
Hey all, Dana Workman here in East Chicago at the Ameristar Casino Hotel for the HPT final table, and we are now four-handed. There's been no shortage of excitement, so let's get right back to it.
Tail of the tape, leading the pack is Robert.
Tell you what, though, the big story here, not only has Robert continued to push his chip lead, but Ron is trying to catch up. Timothy hit a little bad streak, and it's going to have to turn things around soon if he's staying alive in this tournament.
Nick Papillo with just about 12% of the chips in play, but honestly, if I had to pick somebody that's going to take down this event, I'd probably take Nick. Even with those fewer chips, this guy, he's very dangerous. Well, very dangerous.
I like the way you say that. As far as expertise-wise, I'll have to agree with you. Nick is a consistently great player. But, I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to pick the Navy captain. I'm going to go with my heart and my country.
But don't forget about Ronald. This guy's pretty much put on a clinic, and when he sat down, I was a little skeptical. He says, he's a tax accountant. Is this guy going to be able to play with these sharks that are at the table? But he's proven me wrong, and he's played a great game thus far.
He sure has, but keep in mind, he's got to be pretty good at numbers. He deals with them every day.
So Tim with the raise, Nick makes the call. We go to the flop. It's king, jack, deuce, couple of diamonds.
And Nick flops top two pair, Tim middle pair. Oh, and that might cause Tim to make a bet here. Nice check by Nick.
This is going to be a little bit of trouble for Tim. I got a bad feeling. The bet is $225,000. Nick loves all of this.
Yeah, and I think Nick has to raise right here. I don't think he can afford to slow play it. This is way too coordinated of a board. Two diamonds, straight draw. Now's the time Nick's got to play his hand hard.
Nick's going to raise to $475,000. Tim could shove here.
Well, Nick went
and he's all in.
Value Town, and he got paid off in spades.
And Nick says, thank you. I'll make the call.
Tim shows Queen of Hearts.
Tim stands up. And look at Nick. He's calm. He's cool. Well, I would be too if I had two pair.
Well, you'd be especially happy if you only had to fade runner outs.
And the turn card is the jack of clubs, and that, my friend, is the dagger.
Dagger right in the heart of Tim, and another chunk comes right out of his stack.
Nick's going to win the hand. Tim doesn't know what to think. So the 8 of spades comes on the river, a meaningless card, and once again, Nick is the winner of the hand. And look at Tim. You can see there's almost smoke coming out of his ears, I think.
It's like a cartoon character with all that smoke rising.
So, all right, Robert, how do you regroup after that? And what is Tim thinking right now? And
What's
he got to do?
A real deep breath. And remember, chip in a chair, and he's still got plenty of chips. He can still fight this battle. But he's going to have to pick a little more carefully on where he puts his chips in the middle.
Nick looks down at ace-6 of diamonds. Reaching for chips.
And once again, when it gets to four-handed, any ace is a strong card.
He's going to raise to 100,000, and Tim's ready to get them all in there. He looks down at king 10 of spades, a little bit of smile, looks back at his gallery. So Robert and Ronald get out of the way, and action back now to Nick.
And Nick's priced in here. With his stack size, he can afford to lose 300,000. What he can't afford to do is not play this hand right now. And don't worry, Nick, you're right. I like your decision here.
He's going to make the call. Tim stands up, and he's going to realize he's behind king 10 versus ace 6.
10 of diamonds.
If Tim's hand doesn't improve, he's going to be eliminated in 4th place.
Called with ace of diamonds.
Gotta fade the one time. Gotta fade the one time.
Players are talking a little bit here at the final table. And the flop, 2 8s and a 5, but a couple of diamonds on top of it.
And a good flop for Nick, because now he eliminates some of Tim's outs. If the king of diamonds comes, that makes Nick a flush.
Look at Nick sitting down, eyes straight ahead. Turn card is a diamond, ladies and gentlemen. It's the 4 of diamonds, and that's going to do it. Tim has been eliminated. The queen comes on the river, and that is it. He's going to go out in 4th place, $34,325. And I got a feeling probably not going to be sending a Christmas card to Nick this year.
I got a feeling you're right. But he is showing great sportsmanship, walking around, shaking the hands of the other players.
What was going through his mind there? It seems like he was playing a lot of hands.
Well, you know, sometimes when you play a lot of hands and it's not going good for you, you have this, what they call tilt factor. And I'll tell you right now, controlling tilt in tournaments is necessary to win them.
Now, I know what the other players are thinking right now. We just gave more chips to Nick. That can be a little scary.
Well, with that elimination, Tim Shanks leaves us with just over $34,000 and also leaving us with 3 players remaining. When we come back, the stakes are higher than ever as we continue final table HPT action.
Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and Robert Williamson III. We're broadcasting from the Ameristar Casino Hotel, East Chicago. 366 players at this event, a prize pool of over $500,000.
Not only over $500,000 in the prize pool, $120,000 plus for the first place champion tonight.
Somebody's going to go home really, really happy. 3 players remain, and everybody's pretty close in chips, my friend.
I'll tell you what, they're all right up at the top, but the big news of recent is Nick has made this monstrous comeback, and he's right in the thick of this.
Yeah, you look at his stack swing, almost $2 million, and that arrow is pointing up, and that's a good thing here on the HPT. The winner tonight will go home with the title and $120,537. I love watching three-handed poker. It's just fun. The dynamics, the hands change so much. The range is so different. It's great TV, my friend.
You just like it because you get to play more hands. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I like to gamble, but I like watching it here because we get the whole cards. That's the best part of the HPT. We get to see right through their souls and what they're thinking about before they make their decisions. Robert's going to raise to $125,000. Ronald makes the call.
This is more blind on blind violence, I call it.
Yeah, Nick on the button got out of the way. He's going to let these guys battle it out. A couple of queens and a deuce.
A big flop for Ron. Now, Robert's probably thinking, I've got a continuation bet right here, right now, but he ain't going to like it. Wow, nice check by Robert.
Now, remember, Robert told us he was coached from Chip Reese, so Chip knew a few things about poker, my friend.
Oh, but one thing to learn about this is Ron must have talked to somebody, too, because he checks back.
7 of clubs on the turn. Robert might be thinking about making a bet here, representing a little bit. You might think his ace is good, Robert.
You know, I think if Ronald just flat calls here, it might trick Robert into betting again on the river.
The bet is $175,000. Ronald taking his time. He's a tax accountant. 68 years old, been playing poker for 50 years. 50 years.
I love the fact that he's got the experience and enough experience to just flat call here. A lot of people might raise here, but you're not going to get paid off in this uncoordinated board by many other hands.
River card now, the tray of hearts. So action once again is on Robert. Now he's going to check, and Ronald's thinking, how many chips can I bet here that I'll get a call?
I would say the answer is in the 250 to 300 range, a little less than half pot. It looks like he might be bluffing, trying to steal it.
225,000 is the bet.
I like that bet sizing.
He's going to get paid
I hear
off.
payoff city coming.
He's going to get paid off. Ron played that hand perfectly. He played it like a fiddle.
Speaking of fiddles, like Fiddler on the Roof, he made Robert really go for that.
You're just hitting the head by the deck today, aren't you?
Three players remain here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel, East Chicago. A lot of people get confused. We're in East Chicago, Indiana. We're not in Chicago, Illinois. We're in East Chicago, Indiana. Kind of like the song, Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. All right, they didn't tune in to hear us sing or dance.
I think we're going to have to keep our, well, you keep your day job, I'll keep my night job.
I think so. I think so. All right, action will be on Ronald. When you're playing three-handed, you're on the button. You're also under the gun.
Feels like the blinds come around awful quick when you're playing three-handed.
And Ronald, another hand that he picked up here, Ace King, is going to raise to 150,000.
Because he showed down so many weak hands recently, Ron might get some action here. They're not going to suspect him having a big hand.
Nick Papillo once flew to Vegas with $4 in his pocket. True story. With $4 in his pocket, he borrowed some money from his grandparents, and then he went deep in the Monster Stack event. I think he paid back the grandparents that day.
Well, that's a monster win.
All right, we got a re-raise now by Robert. Going to go up to 350,000 with his ace-8. Boy, they're not messing around tonight here at this final table.
You know, I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people might just call here. Once I've committed to an ace-king, I'm shoving in that spot. But that's me. I want to see all 5 cards.
200,000 for Nick to make this call. 23 years old. He's got 383,000 in lifetime earnings. He finished 8th place last year at our Soaring Eagle event in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. So this is his second HPT final table. He makes the call, as does Ronald. So all 3 players going to see the flop.
Let's see the flop, please.
And the flop is King 10 tray, couple of diamonds.
An interesting flop. Our original Razor Ron flops top pair. Nick flops a flush draw. And Robert that made the re-raise, he doesn't flop anything at all. But he's reaching for chips.
Nick checks, now over to Robert. And like you just said, he's reaching for chips.
450.
He's got the worst of it, but doesn't mean you can't bet. 450,000 is the bet.
Raise.
I think he's going to find that this is an ill-advised bet, especially now that he hears raise from Ronald.
So we'll see how much Ronald is going to raise to. And Ronald's going to raise it up to 1,950,000. A very confident raise from Ronald, but a big one.
A monster raise. He's trying to shut out any draws. And I think Nick actually has to fold. He's not getting the right price anymore.
Yeah, Nick didn't like the raise. He would have loved to have seen one more street a little cheaper than 1.95. So the winner of the hand is Ronald. He's trying to be our next HPT champion to go home with the cash and the title. When we come back, we'll have more three-handed coverage right here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel in Chicago.
Hey all, Dana Workman here at the HPT final table, and our field of over 300 entries has been whittled down to just 3 players remaining, battling it out for the coveted HPT title and $120,000. Let's get right to it.
3 players remain: Ronald, Nick, and Robert. And again, pretty close in chips here. Ronald does have the lead, though, currently.
And he's the big talk of the town right now. Ron has really dominated Robert in this last session.
A couple of old school players, and then we got the young guy in Nick, a mere 23 years old. The blinds are 25,000, 50,000 with a 5K ante. Giving away a whole lot of cash right now. The next person eliminated will go home with $49,522.
1 1/4.
On the button, under the gun, is Robert. He's going to raise to $125,000 with Queen Jack. A fold by Ronald. Now over to Nick in the big. He's going to defend with his King Jack. He makes the call. So King Jack against Queen Jack.
Well, the last thing Robert wants to see is a jack on this flop.
And the flop is a 9-tray deuce rainbow. Nick's going to check over to Robert.
Nick checks.
And Robert checks behind.
checks
A
on
little
the button.
surprised we didn't see a continuation bet, but since they haven't been working for him, he decides to take a free card off.
Turn card is the 8 of spades.
Is our turn
What
card.
does give Robert a gut shot straight draw and overcards to the board, but Nick can't stand it now. He's got to try to steal this pot.
115,000 chip bet by Nick.
You know what Mama said about idle hands? Got to be careful. Devil's playground.
And Robert reaching for chips. He's going to make the call.
Nick in the button. I mean, Robert in the button.
River card is the
Nick,
7 of diamonds.
And Nick does have some showdown value here, but Robert doesn't have any checks behind him. I think that's a bit of a blunder. I would have liked to have seen Robert try to take a stab at that
Jack of
pot.
diamonds,
So
king of
just the king
spades.
high for Nick, but he's going to win the pot of over a $500,000 chips. And pots like that are important in this time of the game, Robert. Three-handed, every chip is so important. These three players are so close. Up top, the championship, the bragging rights, and $120,537. We have 366 entrants in this HPT event. Prize pool of over $500,000. Nick's going to fold.
On the button and his two
Action
CD
over to
plus
Robert.
his option.
Things haven't gone real well for him three-handed.
175.
Just no traction.
Yeah, you know, he's kind of made a lot of the wrong decisions. I don't think he made a lot of bad decisions. I just think they were the wrong ones, timing-wise.
Robert's going to raise to 175,000, and now his nemesis, a re-raise to 400. He looks over. It's like, man, you're going to do this to me again? Really, man?
At some point, you start to kind of cower down a little. You kind of think, man, how could he have it every time? Occasionally, you start to bolster back up.
So Robert's going to make the call. He's a little stubborn here. He makes the call.
Let's see the flop.
And the flop is queen, 6 tray, rainbow.
Well, a little something for everyone. Robert flopping middle pair, Ronald flopping top pair. This is why I don't like that call of the raise pre-flop by Robert. You're setting yourself up to catch second pair.
So Robert checks, and now Ronald reaching for chips.
Oh, with this disjointed board, I think I'd make a confusing bet. 250, 300,000 if I was Ronald.
550.
550,000 is the bet.
Ah, it just feels like it's hard to get paid off by that
Come on,
much.
man.
And look at this. Robert re-raises all in.
And what did I think I had that completely wrong, James. Wow, he got maximum payoff. He's got a chance to get a complete double.
And they flip over the cards, and look at Robert. He's just disgusted. He's like, I can't beat this guy. Look at him. He shakes his head.
And Ronald looks like he was making a crying call, but he's actually got the best hand.
Look at Robert. He's like, I can't beat you, man. Still 2 cards to go, though. Turn card is the 7 of spades.
And unless a king or a 6 comes, Robert might be sinking his poker ship.
And that's going to do it, folks. The 10 of hearts. Ronald's going to win the hand. And that's going to do it for the captain. Robert has been eliminated in 3rd place. I know he's not happy. And Ronald says, hey, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, well, what can I say? Good luck to you.
All right, it's heads-up poker. The young man, Nick, 23 years old, going up against the elder statesman, Ronald. He's 68 years old, 50 years of poker experience. Nick's going to start off with a raise to 155,000.
And I suspect we're going to see this move a lot. Nick's going to try to be aggressive and run right over Ron. I'll tell you what, with the looks of it, Ron isn't going to take it for a second. He's not going to take it sitting down. Well, he is sitting down, but he's going to not put up with it.
So the call is made. And we go to the flop. Our first hand here heads up from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. And look at this flop. It hits both of them. King, 5-4. So Ronald pairs his 5s, but Nick with 2 pair.
This might be a good spot for a slow play from Nick. Of course, he is the original raiser. So sometimes you got to lead the continuation bet, even though you really powdered the flop. Like you're all over the flop. You still got to lead if you want to win a big, big pot.
Nick bets $250,000. And I think Ronald likes his hand here. He's going to make this call.
I don't blame you. Look, if you're going to defend with 10-5 and you flop middle pair, you got to make the call on the flop.
Turn card now is the 3 of hearts. Ronald's going to check.
And Nick's hand just keeps getting better and better. Now he's got a flush draw to go along with the 2 pair. Going to Value Town, I'd say 450, 500, a little over half pot.
And the bet is 550,000, so action back to Ronald. That might be enough for Ronald to release his hand.
I love the bet sizing. You give yourself a chance to win a big pot, but you're right. Ronald could fold this.
That doesn't look like a fold to me there, Robbie.
Nope. He's reaching for chips to make the call, and he does.
Ron makes the call.
So Nick's thinking, all right, things are going great here early on in this heads-up match. So let's go to the river card. We have a pot of almost 2 million chips. It's the 8 of diamonds.
8 of diamonds.
Well, that's got to feel like a great card for Nick. Now, though, he's got to bet a complete value bet, just in case Ronald had some kind of draw that he might have missed.
Ronald's going to check. Over to Nick.
Nick bets something confusing, like a third of the pot, 600,000, make it look like a little mini bluff. He might get paid off, but if he makes a big bet, I don't think he's going to get paid here.
This is Nick's second HPT final table. Final tabled last year at our Soaring Eagle event, Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Nick announces 1.3 million.
It's a big bet, 1.3 million.
Yeah, you know, I agree with Nick's bet sizing so many times. This time, I really disagree. I think he bet too much right here.
Action is back on Ron in the 7 seat.
Ronald thinking long and hard. He's got those 50 years of poker experience under his belt.
If Ronald is thinking this long over a 1.3 million chip bet, what if Nick had bet 800,000? I think he would have already made the call.
So much cash on the line here. Heads up for the title.
Ron's taking his time, thinking this through.
I call.
And Ron is going to make the
Ron
call.
makes the call at
Wow.
1.3 million.
He makes
Nick
the
turns
call,
over his
ladies and
hand.
gentlemen.
Bring it in, please.
I'm
Nick shows
shocked.
King of Hearts, 4 of
Well,
Hearts.
I really thought Ron might be able to get away from that, but you know what? Speaking of getting away from it, let's get away from this to a commercial break. Come right back for more heads-up action here at the HPT.
Hey all, I'm Dana Workman and welcome back to the HPT final table here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel in East Chicago. We are now heads up. Second place finisher is guaranteed to take home $74,000, with first place taking home the grand prize of $120,000. Not a bad day if you ask me. Who's it gonna be? Nick or best dressed Ron? Stick around and find out. Let's continue to it.
We started with 366 entrants. We're down to our final 2. And look at this. Nick is in the chip lead. He's got 65% of the chips in play, but Ronald's not going to back down.
I'm not going to tell you any different because Nick has been on a great run. Ron a little bit taken back by his style, but Ron, a tough, gritty player, has been playing a long time. This is anybody's game.
A long time. He's got 50 years of poker experience, my
I
friend.
think that qualifies as a long time. Maybe I left one long out of there.
Blinds are 30,000, 60,000 with a 10K ante. It's heads up poker from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago.
10 of Hearts.
The flop is 10, 8, 6, rainbow. Ronald's first to act. Ronald paired his 6.
But Nick caught a pair of 8s, so actually Nick's got the best hand right now, and Nick was the original raiser. But Ronald doesn't care. He's leading right into it, kind of like Custer into the Indians. Charge!
Ronald bets 200,000. Nick with the call. We go to the turn card now. It's the 5 of clubs.
Action starts off with Ron in the 7 seat.
So Ron will be first.
Ron makes a bet of 200.
And the bet is going to be 250,000 chips.
I think Ron actually thinks he has the best hand here, but maybe he'll slow down on this river.
Please.
And now we go to the river card. It's the Jack of clubs.
Well, 2 pair for Nick. Terrible card for Ron, but Ron is not giving up.
Ron leads out with 300,000 as his
Now
bet.
it's the bet of 300,000 chips. Nick thinking, okay, how much
Nick's-
can I raise here?
That's exactly what Nick's thinking. You're right. You took the words right out of my mouth.
This is Nick's second HPT final table. Hoping for his first HPT title tonight. Just 23 years old. He's one of these poker young guns.
Nick is thinking in his head, how much can I get him to call right now? If I make a real small raise, but maybe if I don't, it doesn't look believable.
100,000.
Wow, and the raise is to 1.1 million.
Actions back on Ron on the
That's a tough spot for Ron, but he folds it like it was an easy decision.
Ron's going to fold, so the heads-up action continues. We will crown a champion tonight here on the HPT. Make sure to check out our webpage, www.hptpoker.com. Maybe you'll be playing at one of these nationally televised final tables for the unreal cash. All right, action is on Nick, and a familiar hand. He looks down at Jack 8 again.
Well, it's been lucky for him already once that we've seen, just like 30 seconds ago.
He's reaching for raising chips, and he's going to do just that. He's going to raise it to 160,000.
And the barrage continues, Nick continuing his bullying, aggressive ways.
Ronald with Queen 5 is going to make the call. We go to the flop. It's 10-9 tray rainbow.
Well, open and straight draw for Nick. Ron didn't get any of that flop at all, but I think he's got a vivid imagination because here he comes betting into this pot again.
This is Ron's first ever HPT main event. Not too shabby for his first stab at our fun little tour here. He's guaranteed second no matter what happens.
First or second would be fine with me in this spot.
Turn card is the Jack of Diamonds, so Ronald's first to act. And
well, that gives him an open and straight draw, so now I don't blame Ron. His imagination getting away from him. I don't mind this bet at all.
Ron bets 275,000.
But the only problem for him is Nick still has a straight draw and top pair.
So the bet is 275,000. Nick makes the call. Neither player has said a word to each other.
Yeah, they've been pretty quiet here for sure.
5 of diamonds comes on the river, so Ronald now pairs his 5.
Well, this has got to feel like a bluff. He's betting such small bets. It's going to be hard for Nick to lay this down.
I just feel he's kind of on a slow drip here. He's just leaking chips each and every street. 300,000 for Nick to make the call.
And we have a raise by Nick.
And now a raise going up to 700,000.
Wow. I don't know if this is a value bet. That's all you know what? Wow. Nick deducted that he can make a value bet here in this spot. I tell you what, hats off to him.
So Ronald thinking, man, what's this kid got? I just can't beat him.
Yeah, even though this bet looks like it's such a small bet compared to the size of the pot, some of these are the hands I like to lay down, and let me explain when I say that. I think the reason why, and he does, the reason why is it's so suspicious. He's begging for a call. I got second to bottom pair. I think it's a good lay down, Ron. Nice lay down.
It's James Larson and Robert Williamson III broadcasting from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. We started with 366. We're down to our final 2 players. And action is on Ronald with 5-4 of clubs.
And the word action is so accurate right here, James. There has been nothing but action since it's been heads up. And even before that, a lot of action.
Ronald makes the call, and Nick's going to check his option. And once again, he's got a jack in his hand.
Well, maybe that's his favorite card. You know how people have their favorite hands? Maybe that's his favorite card.
So the flop, 2 10s and a 6, and Nick's setting the trap, my friend.
He sure is. You know when you got a player being overly aggressive? Sometimes you got to give him a little rope, let him hang himself.
Turn card now is the King of Diamonds.
And you know, I'd be tempted again to check this one more time if I was Nick.
Throws out 200,000 as a bet.
Nick's going to bet 200,000, and that's going to be enough for Ronald to make the fold. And once again, Nick wins another hand here, heads up.
It's been a real steamroller. Matter of fact, more like a freight train.
We'll see if the 23-year-old can keep up the steam and win his first HPT title. More action coming up after the break. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and Robert Williamson III broadcasting from the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. 2 players left, and Nick's got quite the commanding lead.
I'll tell you what, James, it has been a clinic Nick's been putting on so far. Increased during this last break alone, 2 million chips into his stack.
Yeah, Nick's got 83% of the chips in play, but, you know, Ronald's got a chair, and he's got some chips, so he's not done yet, man.
The old chip in a chair.
Exactly. All right, so Nick on the button, small blind, and first to act, he's going to raise it up. He's going to raise it to 160,000 with his king nine. Finally, a hand without a jack. An ace tray now for Ronald. So a good hand for Ronald. He's got the ace going up against Nick's king nine. And look at this. The flop is king seven, 5-2 clubs. Everything's going Nick's way.
Top pair for Nick once again. I don't know if he can afford to slow play this one. Too coordinated of a board. Well, I say that, then Nick decides to check it. But I don't think I would have. I think I'd have had to bet something there.
The turn card is the four of spades.
Well, that actually helps Ron's hand out. He's got a double bubble straight draw. A deuce or a six gives him a straight.
Ronald's going to check, and now Nick decides to bet 175,000. And Ronald's thinking, I got the double gutter. I got the ace. Maybe I can make this call here.
Yeah, I agree with this call. I think it's a good call.
Ron makes the call. 175 and a call.
And let's don't forget, the old ace is a pretty good card for Ron's hand as well.
And the river is the three of spades. So a check. Ron hits a three for a pair of threes now. Nick's going to bet 250,000.
Now, Nick can only make this bet if he's prepared to fold if he gets raised. That's the only way he can value bet here. You have to be prepared to be able to fold that hand. Great value bet if you're willing to do that.
Ronald just trying to win one hand here, heads up. Trying to get back into this match. And he's going to fold. His chips just keep going back to the middle with no return. But that man right there, Nick Papillo, the 23-year-old with $383,000 in lifetime earnings, is poised to win his first HPT title right here at the Ameristar Casino Hotel East Chicago. So much money on the line here. $120,537 for first, $74,414 for our second place finisher.
And I'll tell you what, Nick's hot streak continues. He looks down at two kings.
Wow, heads up, pocket kings, and Ronald has an ace, so this could be a disaster.
Snap call.
And he's all in.
You don't usually hear the words verbally said, snap call. You usually just see the action.
Yeah, Nick's exact words were snap call, and he did just that. So pocket kings against the A7. This could be it. We could be crowning our new HPT champion after this flop, turn, and river, ladies and gentlemen.
I think this is the first time we've seen Ron stand up all day.
The flop, two sixes and a nine, and Nick can taste this.
Well, some runner outs, and an ace still gets him right out of the trap, too.
Turn card is the queen, so all Ronald can catch here is an ace, or he's going to be eliminated in second place.
And there's three of them left in the deck.
And it's the eight of hearts on the river, and that's going to do it, Robert. We've got a brand new champion, Nick Papillo, 23 years old, going to go home with the title and a whole lot of cash.
I'll tell you what, the young gun came in with guns a-blazing tonight.
Second place was Ronald, a nice payday for him, just over $74,000. He's joined with Dana Workman. Guys?
Ron, congratulations for taking home second place prize of $74,000 and some change. Not a bad day.
No, pretty good. I enjoyed myself a lot.
Now, what are you going to do after today with all that money?
Well, I've got a couple of grandkids that are going to be going to college someday, and hopefully I can help them along.
Was there anything that you wish you would have done differently?
Pretty much after the break we came back, I was pretty card dead, and there wasn't really too much that I could do with anything there. So he played great, and he deserved the win.
Congratulations again to our second place finisher, Ron Rendon.
Thanks so much, guys. And once again, congratulations to Ronald. A nice payday, just over $74,000. But the man of the hour, that's Nick. He's our new champion. He's 23 years old, going home with the title and just over $120,000.
He really played well tonight. I'll tell you what, sometimes you combine skill and luck, and he had a little bit of both. It's a deadly combination, James.
So here on the HPT, you win the title, you go home with the cash, and you get an interview with Dana Workman.
Nick Papillo, first place winner, $120,000. That's pretty amazing considering yesterday you were almost knocked out.
Yeah, I almost got knocked out. I shoved jacks with about 28 bigs, and the guy had aces, and I ended up running out a perfect straight turn river. So pretty blessed to win that one.
Proof to never give up, of course. What are you going to do with all of that?
I'm not sure. I'm going to play this WSOP in the summer and maybe get an apartment or a condo or something.
Now, is there anything special about this tournament in particular that you really like?
Oh, winning, of course, is the best, but yeah, the structure is good, and just my last final table, I didn't go how I wanted for HPT. I got 8th, and I was just looking to improve on that today. So,
Any advice for future entrants looking to play?
just keep trying and keep playing as best as you can, and keep working hard.
Don't lose. Congratulations again. First place winner, Nick Papillo, $120,000. Signing out, I'm Dana Workman. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks so much, guys. And once again, congratulations to Nick. But we can't forget about Ronald. He played great. And how about his payday? Just over $74,000.
Not a bad payday, but at the end of the day, this is all about champions, and we crowned our new champion tonight, Nick Papillo, $120,000.
And speaking of paydays, if you think it's your chance for a big payday, why not give it a shot? Check out the webpage at www.hptpoker.com, and maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For Dana Workman, he's Robert Williamson III. I'm James Larson, and we'll see you next time on the HPT.